On October 31st, 2022, Mob Entertainment announced Project Playtime, a co-op survival horror game based on their hit single-player game, Poppy Playtime. The devs were hyping this game up a lot, dropping trailers and teaser images left and right, until it got delayed for a few days. But don't worry, the game eventually released on December 12th to mixed responses. Overall, though, people weren't happy with the buggy and broken state of the game on launch, and that combined with the game's microtransactions understandably gave people a negative outlook on the game. However, within a couple weeks, most of the bugs were patched and the game received a Phase 2 in the spring of 2023. The game was absolutely blowing up. All the big YouTubers were covering it, sales from both the game and its microtransactions were happening every day, and the game had a much more positive reception overall. However, updates on the game were sparse for a while, only occasionally popping up as bug fixes or adding an anti-cheat system. The game would eventually receive a Phase 3 in October of 2023, but it only made things worse. A lot of major features and mechanics had been overhauled or removed, and everybody who stuck around after hype for Phase 2 fizzled out had left. Then the game just stopped getting updated altogether. But what happened? How did this game, made by people who had already captivated audiences once with their games, manage to make such a failure? And also, how can other games learn from this? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. This is Project Playtime, how updates ruined a game, and how other games can learn. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the game itself, as you've probably either never played this game or you just forgot about it. Anyways, Project Playtime is a multiplayer survival horror game with gameplay similar to that of Dead by Daylight. 5 players, or survivors, team up against one monster, also controlled by a player. The survivor's job is to collect 5 toy parts by solving puzzles, deliver the toy to the train that they used to arrive at, and get back on the train to leave, while the monster's job is to down all of the survivors and deliver them to the feeding pit, a massive cage beneath the surface of the factory. Players are then able to hit the hatch to alert other players until either the game ends or they are pulled out of the feeding pit by someone else. There is also a communication system between survivors which allows them to talk to each other about dangers such as where the monster is. There are 3 different monsters in the game as I'm writing this: Huggy Wuggy, Mommy Longlegs, and Boxy Boo, who has only appeared in this game and never in the mainline Poppy Playtime series. Each monster serves a different purpose and has unique abilities, which I will touch on later. There's also several doors and hiding spots around the game's 4 maps for survivors to use. Both survivors and monsters have special abilities to use against the opposing team. Survivors have rolling, which gives them a short boost of speed, which is a cooldown, as well as perks. You can have 3 of these activated at a time, and they provide small advantages that increase with each tier up to 3 tiers. Monsters, on the other hand, have 2 special abilities in their arsenal as well as sabotages. Their special abilities are used for capturing survivors, while the sabotages are used to either temporarily break survivor systems or make throwing them into the feeding pit easier. The game has 2 forms of currency: play coins and tickets. Starting off with tickets, this is a form of currency that can only be obtained through winning matches. These tickets can then be used to purchase perks. Play coins, on the other hand, can only be bought with actual money and are used to buy cosmetic items in the game's shop as well as unlock the Battle Pass, which offers a variety of rewards that are gained each time the player levels up. Both the shop and Battle Pass contain various cosmetic items for both the survivors and monsters, with monsters having different skins which nearly completely change their appearance, while survivors have different pieces of apparel as well as different colors and textures for the actual player model. As I mentioned earlier, there are 4 different maps in this game: Theater, Factory, Destroy a Toy, and the Misfit Pit. Each map has a different style and serves a different purpose within the factory. The theater is a theater, the factory is seemingly where the toys are manufactured, Destroy a Toy seems like the place where toys are discarded and burned after no longer being of use, and the Misfit Pit is a place where rejected toys are sent as evidenced by the skins that released at the same time as this map, which are rejected toys within the Poppy Playtime universe. Okay, now that I have explained everything about the actual game, I want to talk about how it failed, and more importantly, what caused it. See, I believe that this game suffered two major problems that led to its downfall: updates and lack of updates. Now, you're probably thinking, how can both receiving and not receiving updates kill a game? Well, let's start with the lack of updates. This game was not updated very frequently, or at least not frequently enough to keep up the hype. Project Playtime initially released on December 12, 2022, and the game didn't receive any new content until May 31st of 2023. Then the game didn't receive any new content after that until October 6th of 2023. Do you see what I'm getting at here? This game didn't receive any new content for months at a time, and I think it's pretty obvious that a lack of new consistent updates can pretty easily kill a game's popularity given enough time. The thing I want to talk about next is the updates themselves. See, when Project Playtime first released, the game was completely different than how it is today. For example, if a survivor was thrown into the feeding pit, they wouldn't just be stuck in the hatch waiting to be revived. They would instead have to play a minigame where they would whack little mini Huggy Wuggies until they were either rescued or killed, similar to the Whack-a-Wuggy minigame from Poppy Playtime Chapter 2. There was also no map vote system, no choosing which role you wanted to be before joining a match, and you could actually make private matches. However, while Phase 2 just added new cosmetics, puzzles, etc., Phase 3 was what brought in all of these changes and is responsible for the game being in the state that it's in. Some of the features removed or changed in Phase 3 were things that nobody asked for, and as a result, the game lost a lot of its player base, including myself, because it brought in and removed features which nobody wanted or enjoyed. And all of this isn't even mentioning all of the new bugs brought in with this update. Which, when you consider that an overabundance of bugs is what turned away some people originally, it's just not a good look. I've been talking a lot about the faults of this game, which, believe me, there's a lot, but I also want to use this as an opportunity to show other similar games how they can improve. First of all, games like Project Playtime should always be listening to community feedback. Community feedback is essential to a game's growth, so if you're interested in adding or removing anything, ask the fans of your game in a tweet or something how they would feel. Remember, as a multiplayer game, you need to make sure people are enjoying it and its features, so always make sure that you know what it is the fans would want. Second, you should try to stand out from other games. We live in an age of gaming where tons of genres are oversaturated by the same ideas and concepts that it's hard for a game to stick out without being compared to others, with mascot horror arguably being the prime example of this. So if you want to make a multiplayer game that people will be interested in, then try to stick out from games like Dead by Daylight. Finally, you should at least make it seem like you aren't just doing this for the money. Even if you are a completely soulless corporation just trying to raise profits, you should at least try to come across as good people who want to make an enjoyable game. So, maybe don't add microtransactions to your game on launch that are just crappy reskins of characters. I mean, hey, it's just a suggestion. In conclusion, Project Playtime is a game that ultimately failed at being a consistently enjoyable experience for people and suffered many issues, such as a lack of updates and bringing in unwanted changes. To be fair, though, this game wasn't always bad. I have plenty of fond memories of playing this game during its first two seasons and having lots of fun, and I do believe that if Mob Entertainment kept the game how it was with the occasional, but more frequently than their usual standard, updates such as new monsters, then the game would have been extremely fun and worth playing. Unfortunately, though, this didn't happen, and all we have left is the remnants of a once great game. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I wanted this video to be a bit shorter than my previous two videos, as while I enjoy making long pieces of content, I understand that people probably don't have 25 minutes to spare to watch me ramble on about FNAF merchandise, and I think that this was a nice change of pace. My upload schedule is going to be a lot more consistent going forward, and I have a bunch of videos planned for the future, so just stay tuned. With all that said and done, I'm Supersonic, and I'll see you next time.